Trump is being protested all over the world. MAGA in Europe means Make America Go Away. Europe is also wondering, where are all the adults in the USA? And this sign, it's my favorite. It's fucking brilliant. The USA already has too much ice. Those are some of my favorite signs from a massive protest that took place at the US Embassy in Copenhagen, Denmark over the weekend, because Europe is fucking pissed.
The American national anthem got booed at an NHL hockey game in Canada tonight following Donald Trump's announcement that he's placing a 25% tariff on Canada. Just take a look. Yeah, those boos were really loud. Canada is certainly unhappy with the United States. I want to remind all of the MAGA lunatics out there who praise Donald Trump's every move that this trade war with Canada and Mexico helps nobody. It changes nothing for the better. This trade war angers two of our closest allies. It makes products in the United States significantly more expensive, and it makes it more difficult for businesses in the United States to do business with Canada or Mexico. So congratulations to MAGA. The United States is getting a lot worse really, really quickly.
Don't you just hate it when MAGA says this?
The world respects us right now more than they have ever respected us.
Well, you patriotic Trump supporters, Italy just denied our military aircraft from using their airbase. France won't allow some of our aircraft to fly over their country. Poland refused our request for a missile battery. And Spain refused to allow us to use their bases. That's not respect.
Do you want to know what they're saying about the United States and Donald Trump in Ireland?
We are witnessing the descent of the United States into fascism. A president who rejects election results, incites insurrection, attacks the judiciary and the media, has an armed militia intimidating minorities, who kidnaps foreign leaders and threatens the sovereignty of others. If Trump smells weakness from the EU, it's because when the US or Israel break international law, we look the other.
All over the world, they are talking about how awful he is. They are talking about the atrocities. They are talking about the ruined relationships, the ruined trade. This will take us decades, if ever, to recover from. And it's only been 1 year. Where do you live and what are you hearing about the USA?
You want to know what Australia thinks of America? Here you go. Stop. Do I blame them? Absolutely not. As I said in my New Year's video, America has become a fucking dumpster fire from Sucktown.
Yeah, people around the world are not happy with the movement that support a system they see as hostile to democracy, to immigrants, to allies, and to human rights, because for years, the US was viewed as a symbol of freedom and leadership, but under the current regime, America's reputation has taken damage. So let's have a look, and I appreciate your support, all right? Let's dive into it.
What pisses you off about Americans?
I think everyone in the East hates Americans because you guys think you own the world. And
She kind of has a point. She kind of has a point.
You guys has caused enough trouble. Honestly, just go back to America.
Oh!
People all around the world are absolutely hating Americans right now. More specifically, they're hating who's in charge, but there is a trickle-down effect to those who voted for Trump. There are so many people in this country that don't realize we are not viewed favorably. We are not the golden children that you think that we are. The rest of the world is moving on without us. The rest of the world is finding other allies and finding other resources. Many of you keep doubling and tripling down on what the Trump administration is currently doing, but there are many of us that can see clearly that we are losing our allies right and left. Have you had a conversation with a Canadian lately? I understand that many of you voted for this, and this is exactly what you want. But there are plenty of us that are not okay with the way things are going right now. and we understand why the rest of the world is fed up with us.
Traveling to Europe when you have a president that Europe respects is so much nicer than traveling to Europe when you have a president that the rest of the world despises. Trump is obviously huge in that right now. Like, nobody likes Trump outside of MAGA in the United States. I've traveled under every presidency since like the first Bush, the OG Bush. And I will say though that lately with like Trump, I was just in Paris and Lisbon in like the last like 2 months, month and a half, and everyone was very kind. They were like, here's what you have to do. If somebody's like, where are you from? You say United States, I'm so sorry. Then they realize like you're a safe space. And then all of a sudden I actually was met with a lot of like pity, kind of. Like, people were like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I know, it's awful. Like, I think the thing is, as long as you're not like, yeah, America, we love our president, then like that is going to like be the huge difference. I remember I was in New Zealand when George W. Bush was president, and I was with like Studying Abroad, and some like the bouncer at this bar was like, oh, you're Americans, like what do you think of the president? And me and my friend were the only two like liberals there, and we're like, fuck him, he's a war criminal. And they're like, come on in. And the rest of the people were like, no, we love America. And they like didn't let them in the bar. That's like the worst I've ever seen of somebody treating an American badly because of the president. As long as you're just like open that you did not vote for him and you don't like it, and like I'm always like, I'm American, I'm so sorry, I didn't vote for this. And that makes it so much better.
You wouldn't have gone on holiday to Nazi Germany, would you? You wouldn't have gone and spent your hard-earned money in a state that was actively committing a genocide, would you? You wouldn't have knowingly gone and spent your money and therefore supported an economy of a state that was knowingly committing human rights monstrosities, would you? So why the fuck are we still going to America on vacation? How many countries has the US bombed in the last 12 months? Yemen, Somalia, Iran, Iraq, Syria. They've obviously massively funded the genocide in Palestine. They've kidnapped the Venezuelan president. Oh, they're kidnapping their own people on the streets and shooting people in the face if they dare to try and stop them. But you want to go there? You want to choose to go there? I can only assume that if you've managed to get a visa to go to the United States of embarrassment, you likely have the opportunity to go to many other places. Explain it to me like I'm 5. There's one thing, it's difficult to avoid supporting America in some sense because so much is owned by them, so many companies are owned by them, and I'm trying not to be too judgmental, but if you're actively choosing to get on a plane, pay your visa fees, and go spend money in that hellhole, can you explain it to me? Because I don't understand. The whole country music hype that was going on in 2025, like, you could call me a tin foil hat, whatever. I believe that was propaganda. I think that was a deliberate campaign to make America cool again, to distract us from the disgusting things that they keep doing. And I fear that a lot of us fell for it. A lot of us ate it up. America is fascist. And if you are choosing to go there for a jolly, you are supporting fascism.
I want you to take note to the fact that America is literally collapsing. Like, the world is watching us die. They're making fun of the fact that we had to stand in line for healthcare. Our food is poisoned. We're out here, burning stuff down. We're out here fighting each other. The racism, all of this stuff that's going on. And not one country is hanging an American flag to support us. To say, hey, go help Americans. Americans are dying in record numbers. Let's help them. Let's be on their side. Not one. You know why? Because it just proves that our government has been lying about what we have been doing when we go over to these countries. Because if we were the heroes that we claim to be, they would have protests everywhere. Help America, help Americans, help America. The only time they have done that, Black Lives Matter. They have said no to Trump, but no American flags are being hung. So, before you believe what this administration or any other news outlet says about any other country around the world, specifically black and brown, because that's the ones they love to dog out, please understand, no one around the world is coming to save us because they actually don't like us. They don't. And I get it.
This is why the world is not like America, and by extension, Americans. I often see a lot of confused Americans wondering why people in other countries do not like them. But the answer is actually very simple. Most Americans do not know the true history of their country. And the US's reach is huge when it comes to destabilizing countries and destroying the environment. Overthrowing governments that are democratically elected, villainizing and sanctioning countries that fail to do what they want, sabotaging the progress of countries that are typically resource-rich, contributing to genocides in mass slaughter around the world by providing money and weapons to regimes that are known to commit human rights abuses. And if it's not destroying your country through these tangible and bureaucratic means, also just illegal, then they're destroying your country culturally. And what's crazy is the more that I learn about the histories of certain cultures in certain regions, the one thing that I'm noticing is that the US always leaves a trail, whether it's a trail of blood, bodies, and just complete disaster. They completely rewrite history and peddle lies about their impact abroad, rather pushing this narrative to its citizens that it brings freedom and democracy to other countries when everyone else who's been impacted by this country knows that that's a lie. And Americans believe it. I grew up in the US and was educated in the US education system. And it was only until I went to university in the US that I actually learned the truth about what this country has done abroad. But to know the raw and true history of the US is a rarity amongst the American population. And when your country has had such disastrous effects globally, especially on the global majority, people are not going to like you if you state the antithesis and you state propaganda that literally goes against the realities that people are living still to this day.
You know what's so infuriating about the MAGA movement and just pure evil is that they pretend to represent God and Jesus, but the entire movement is built on a lie. From politicians to pastors, if you stand up and say that the 2020 election was not stolen, that there's zero evidence to support this claim, that Trump made it up out of thin air before all the votes had even been counted, and certainly before any investigation had been done, then instantly you're canceled. Canceled for telling the truth. And let me tell you something. It's impossible to do the Lord's work using the devil's toolbox.
The world is witnessing a powerful nation beginning to lose the trust, the respect, and the moral authority it once held around the world because for decades, America projected an image of strength through values like democracy, freedom of speech, human rights, and cooperation with allies. And people admired America not just because of its economy or military power, but because it claimed to stand for something greater. But today, many people across Europe and beyond are starting to question that image. Nowadays, people see hostility and cruelty towards immigrants. They see attacks on institutions, media, judges, and opponents. And they see leaders treat allies like enemies and enemies like partners. They see chaos replacing stability. And when people around the world look at MAGA, they often do not just see a slogan. They see anger. They see nationalism without compassion. They see fear turned into politics. And they see power used without humility. And this is why some Europeans react so strongly, because to them, this issue is not simply about American election or one political party. It is about whether America still believes on the democratic values it has long promoted to others. And also, many in Europe, they remember history. They know how dangerous extreme politics can become when leaders use division, scapegoating, and even fear. There is also frustration on foreign policy and alliances because for generations, America worked closely with European partners through diplomacy, through trade, and through defense cooperation. But nowadays, tariffs, insults, and threats, they have created a deep tension. And once trust is broken, it is not easy to rebuild. But it is also important to remember that criticism of MAGA, it is not hatred for all Americans. Many people across the world, they still admire the American people, the American culture, and millions of Americans who continue to fight for justice, for fairness, and democracy. And to be honest, People across the world, they expected more from America. They expected maturity, stability, and leadership. But nowadays what they see is polarization, culture wars, and endless drama, you know? America is still one of the most influential nations on earth, and what happens there affects the entire world. And this is why the world pays close attention. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.